Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
From the top rope, getting kill the roar so loud. Black and gold waving, we're a fearless crowd. Under them lights, the fight burns bright. Greatest team assembled, ready for the fight. We stand tall, we stand true. Every game, every play, got the heart, got you. Legends rise, and we all knew that the black and gold's coming straight for you. From a hostile view, see the whole state rise. With a heart so strong and fire in our eyes. On the field, on the court, in the stands, we shine. The best in the game, and the state is mine. Cover Hawkeyes, mugging, watch 'em break that glass. Dropping dimes, hitting threes, never second guess. Full court hustle, hit the sneak aside. With the fight in our veins, we wear that pride. We stand tall, we stand true. Every game, every play, got that Hawkeye view. Legends rise, and we all knew that the black and gold's coming straight for you. From a hostile view, see the whole state rise.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrew Barber, and that's not Drew Shipley. That's Ben Applegate from Three Blind Refs. Ben, thank you, first of all, for just joining me on a last-minute dime here. I appreciate you very much for doing this.
No problem. Happy to be back. It's kind of been a little bit since I've been here, and honestly, we'll probably get into this, but I've kind of been down on the Hawks during basketball season, kind of just walked away from it. So I think this is a good positive change here. So I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit. So
Yeah. Speaking on that note, the positive change that I think you're talking about is Ben McCollum becoming the new head men's basketball coach at Iowa. And I'm with you. I do think this is a very positive change for Iowa. We'll kind of get into how positive I think it is, but I think we all know I'm the extremely positive guy
right.
when it comes to Iowa fandom. I am always the optimist. I am always, never the pessimist.
You are.
So
You are very guilty.
Yeah. So first of all, have you gotten a chance? Did you get to watch the introductory press conference? You watch it at all? I know you're in a busy season with life right now.
Yeah. So I kind of run right out of basketball season and state tournaments and stuff. And then I'm obviously in the heart of tax season. I'm a CPA. So it's been a little crazy, but I do take some breaks here and there. And I didn't watch it, minute by minute, but I saw a lot of the clips that were kind of going around social media. And honestly, I was pretty impressed, with just Iowa's marketing of it, with, the shirt and the tie in the locker room. I thought was cool as heck. And then just him as a person and kind of his opening statements, and even talking to some of the players that, he wants to get back. So I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, me too. I didn't get to watch it live as it was happening, but I made it a point once I got home from work to watch the full thing in its entirety. I'm not usually a guy who sits around and watches press conferences.
Mm-hmm. Same.
But the big thing for me was, a couple things here. He named off former players, which I thought was cool. Guys that he said he idolized, and it didn't seem contrived in a way. It seemed very genuine coming from him. You could tell that he really did grow up a fan.
For sure. And I think touching on, him just saying the words Chris Street, I think, was a huge step in the right direction too. So
yeah, not just saying his name, saying that's what we're going to play like. That's what we're going to embody.
Yep, for sure.
The Dr. Tom days, we're going to bring Carver back to the Dr. Tom days. We're going to pack Carver out again. It's going to be loud. It's going to be a tough place to play.
Yeah.
Again, just saying that and basically appealing to the fans and
Right.
to former players that he wants back and saying, we need you. You know, we love you guys. We love the guys, people that have been here.
Right.
But we need more people coming in. And
Yep.
yeah, I personally love that. Chris Street is a big part of the reason why I'm an Iowa basketball fan or a basketball fan in general.
Right. Right.
Because I inherited my love of basketball from my mom. You actually got
Right.
the pleasure of meeting my mom.
Yes. Yep, for sure.
But yeah, she loved Chris Street. And so I
Well, and
that from
not only watching him play and stuff, but we both kind of grew up around Central Iowa, right around where he was playing, and so it was kind of a part of our lives growing up. So yeah, I think most fans, basketball fans that are Iowa fans, probably embody that and kind of are like us, and like that's super important to who we feel like this team ought to be. So yeah.
Yeah, I just think about how different my life would be, if
Yeah,
Chris
for sure.
didn't exist.
Yep.
So that's whenever you bring that up, you're always going to get some kind of emotion from me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But the beyond the emotions, what do you think Iowa is getting in Ben McCollum?
I kind of have been paying attention to the rumors, obviously, that Fran was going to be let go here for quite a while. And, I think the two names that came up were Darren and Ben, obviously. And I think there was a lot of, I think maybe the thing that impressed me most is I was hearing from a lot of, social groups that McCollum is super well respected in the college basketball world. High end coaches are talking to him about his style of play and the things that he does on offense and defense. And when you're that well connected as a guy that's really been in D2 for a long, long time, I think that speaks volumes to the type of X's and O's guy that he is. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting. And I think there was maybe some obvious disappointment that Darren didn't take it over, but I think Ben could, in the long run, maybe be equal or better to him in where this team goes. And he's done it with players, that maybe aren't Big Ten caliber even. So I think the sky's probably the limit in my head for where this team can go. And frankly, it doesn't have to be Final Four type stuff. I think we just want to get in the tournament, and gosh, if we can win a game or get into the Sweet 16. You're going to win over the hearts of Iowans everywhere. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I am right there with you. I think as far as a basketball mind goes, I'll go out on a limb and say he's one of the best out there right now, if not the best in terms of just a pure basketball mind.
Yep.
There's a lot more that goes into coaching, right? There's the recruiting aspect. There's all the other things you have to do. I don't think he's going to be bad at those things. I just don't know if he's at the same level as some other guys. It's just because of he's only had 1 year at D1.
Right. And I think you kind of hit on it there just real briefly. Like, I think the landscape in college basketball is a lot different than it has been in a long time. Mm-hmm. And you might even say, Iowa doesn't have the funds maybe that a lot of these blue blood programs have. I think that Ben probably can do more with less at Iowa than anybody maybe could. So I think that's a positive, that going into it, even if he doesn't have the money, I think he's able to find and mold players and hopefully, create a great system. So,
yeah, I do know kind of through the grapevine, through reports that the NIL situation and the fund situation is a lot better.
Okay. What couldn't have got worse?
Yeah, it just depends. I don't know what the official number is, but a lot of unofficial numbers out there are where you've got 5 to 6 million for men's basketball for next year.
Really?
Between NIL and rev share.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
3 mil from rev share is what I've heard. Right. Okay. So then 3 mil from other sources outside of rev share. That's average in the Big Ten, top 25 Essentially, that's the number that you have to be at to be top 25, according to some people in college basketball.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So, again, I'm not going to say that's pure fact. That's just a number that I've heard.
Yeah.
Could be less.
Well, yeah, and I had heard around 3 originally, but I hadn't really considered the rev share side of things. So, I mean, that makes some sense. And like you said, I think my opinion, again, is even if those end up being the numbers, I'm fairly confident in his ability to take players that he can get for that and make them great basketball players and great men, I think. So,
yeah, I'm on board with that as well. Yeah, I don't think the NIL number is as big of a factor. But then also, if you start winning, there's a chance that you're going to entice more people to really want to up their donations, to really want to help you, support you financially too.
Yeah, it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Where, the more success you have, the better that number probably gets, and the more that people are probably willing to open their checkbooks. And, if he really has success, other programs are going to want it too. So we're going to have to probably kick in to keep him here too. So I don't know that he would jump ship again, because I think this is a job that he really loves in his home state. So, but good problems to have, hopefully down the road, I guess.
Right. The way I look at it is, if he does end up leaving us, it's probably because he did things so well.
Yeah.
And
right.
Left us in such a better spot that teams like Kansas and that kind of, I'm just thinking Midwest,
Yeah, that's fair.
That caliber are calling for Ben McCollum,
right,
after a few years, because he's done so well, right?
Yep.
So another part of the press conference that I liked is he mentioned former coaches, but he left out a couple of guys.
He sure did.
Intentionally, I think. He left Alford and Licklider out, and that doesn't make me sad. It doesn't.
I think in the history of recent Iowa basketball, right, our lifetimes, you had this high, coming from the Tom Davis area, and even, kind of, even though it ended weird, it ended on the high note. And then you went into we were super excited for Alford, and then it turned into whatever it turned into. And then Licklider. So
he was National Coach of the Year. It's so crazy.
Not here.
No.
But I think that speaks to me as him being a Hawkeye fan and seeing the positives of this program. And so I don't have any problem with it. You know what I mean? I think it's cool. So
yeah, I think it's cool too. And I went, oh, he's one of us. He hates those guys as much as we do.
Right.
Love it. I've been mulling over this question a lot, and maybe you don't have an answer because you probably haven't been thinking about it as often as I have. But if you could compare him to another basketball coach, who comes to mind for you?
Oh boy.
Just from everything you've heard and read. I think there's a very obvious one that keeps coming to my mind.
I'm going to let you go first. I think I have an answer that just came to the top of my head, but let's see if it's the same one you have. Go ahead.
I bet we're going to line up.
Okay.
Name that I keep coming back to is Bo Ryan.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Brad Stevens came to my head as well, but I have heard a lot of Bo Ryan comparisons as well. So,
Bo Ryan, 4D3 national championships at Platteville.
Yeah.
Then bumped up to UW Milwaukee and didn't actually have a stellar record. I looked this up. It was like 15-13, 15-14, and then bumped up to Wisconsin, 19-13 right away, and then 24, 25, 23, right? He's rattling off big wins, and he's playing his brand of basketball. So you're 2, 3, and 4 kind of there now. Hopefully Ben McCollum doesn't come with all the things that Bo Ryan
That's fair.
The temperament isn't what I'm going for here in the comparison. I think the basketball is what I'm going for here.
Right. The success, right?
Success.
I think that's fair. And I think if any Iowa fan thought back to, the kind of those glory days of Wisconsin basketball, if we had similar type years, I think we'd take that in a heartbeat. So,
yeah, he made 2 Final Fours, man.
yep.
We would take that every day.
Every day.
Yeah. So, any concerns for you about the 1 year Drake, the pace, the tempo, the scoring, all that?
I guess, I have to take him at face value with this, where he's talked about we're going to play the pace that our players allow. So I guess I think he's probably trying not to recruit necessarily to that type of pace. I guess to me that feels like he's able to adjust to what his team needs. So I don't think he's going to come in necessarily with that type of pace. I think it's going to be build around what your strengths are. And hopefully, if that's fast paced, great. If it's slow paced, that's fine too. But I think, what he keeps going back to as well is playing defense. Defense is important. And gosh, how long has it been? Yeah. And how long has it been since Iowa basketball has had any of that?
Gritty defense.
Yep.
I don't know.
Just settles.
Yeah, just settles. J.R. Koch, those guys patrolling the paint, that kind of thing. Kenyon Murray hanging around.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think he's going to be very insistent upon defense and rebounding. And sometimes when you get guys that are really good at that, it doesn't always lend itself to a beautiful offense.
That's fair.
That might be okay. Right?
I'm okay with winning ugly.
Yeah, me too. But I do think that he strongly desires guys that can shoot as well.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, take him at face value, 4 or 5 shooters at all times. Sometimes when he was at Northwest Missouri State.
Yep.
And then they were playing in the 80s and still playing great defense and still rebounding.
Right.
He just had guys who could shoot.
I don't mean to slam onto Fran here, but it just felt like they never even gave it a look, like didn't even talk about it in practice or work on it in practice. And I'm sure they did, right? But it just felt like it was so inconsequential to them that, we just haven't seen it forever. So,
yeah, except for when we had that Gazelle Clemens Woodbury team, who those guys were committed to defense themselves. It was an individual thing, I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? They were all
gritty type players.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I don't think it was ever a coaching style or a thing under Fran McCaffrey at all.
I agree.
The other big news is that Bennett Sturtz is going to follow.
For sure. Yep.
Ben McCollum. Now he is going to test the NBA waters, so don't necessarily rule that out for him. I would be very disappointed if that. It sounds like all of his intention is to play college ball next season.
Right.
But I can't blame him for testing the NBA draft waters, because everybody who is even remotely close does that.
Well, and I think it gives him. I guess I probably would lean on the side that he would come back, but it gives him something to, real coaching points on what he needs to work at to get into the NBA where he wants to get, right? So, hopefully he can use that to get even better, which, again, we'll take that any day of the week. Some are saying he's one of the best point guards available in the portal. So
he's the number 1 player in the portal, according to 247 Sports.
That's crazy.
He is the best point guard in the portal. Some people would even say he's the best point guard in the country. Some people are me, but
Mr. Positive.
Yeah, some people would say we have the best coach and the best point guard in the country, but I'll take it a step back. He's the best Iowa men's basketball point guard since blank.
Oh boy.
Without seeing him play, so it's a little bit unfair.
That is unfair. Who do you got?
Woolridge.
That's probably fair. I would say Woolridge was the complete package. I mean, did you consider was Devin? Yeah. Devin wasn't really a point guard.
Mike Gazelle, but I don't really consider Mike Gazelle to be on Bennett Sturt's level. I
agree.
liked Mike Gazelle. I
Agree.
like Jordan Bohannon. I just don't see them as Bennett Sturts.
That's true. That's true. Although,
6'4".
if we could somehow get 7 years of Sturts like Bohannon had,
I don't know. That means a lot of injuries, and I just don't want that.
that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
But yeah, Dean Oliver and Horner are the other names I truly considered and would even.
But how many years ago is that though?
19. If we're going back to Horner, 1920.
Yeah. Cheapers.
So we're gonna having Bennett Sturts next year, and then you say, well, what about like the future? Because Bennett Sturts is probably only here for 1 year. But then you look back at his Northwest Missouri State teams, and that's another thing that I love is he always has an emphasis on. I have a point guard who's either good to great.
Yep.
And he had a guy named what's his name? Well, he had a 2-time National Player of the Year at Division II level. That was his point guard. I believe it was Hudgens, maybe.
Gotcha.
Trevor Hudgens, Justin Pitts. I think those guys won NPOY at the D2 level. I think Hudgens won it twice. I think Pitts won it once.
Wow.
And those guys were, the point guards of his national championship teams.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, at Northwest Missouri State, he always had good to great point guard play.
Yep.
And I can't help but think he's going to start things off the same way here at Iowa and look for that at Iowa.
I also think, in that same theme, his culture must be pretty solid because he just reloaded and reloaded and reloaded at Northwest. I mean, they were good forever. And then you see like this year, I think they're 13-15 or 13-17, kind of dropped off like immediately. So it's interesting to see, how successful and that he really was. So,
yeah, I think so too. Of all the Iowa guys that entered the portal, who is your biggest desire to have back at Iowa to retain?
For me, it's probably Josh Dix.
Yeah.
I saw him. I was fortunate enough. I actually reffed a game of his senior year over at Northwest. There was kind of a statewide kind of I wouldn't call it a tournament, but kind of a big weekend where teams from out of the city here played other teams. So I got to ref him over there at Northwest and impressed me then. Obviously got hurt later that season and kind of had that year off. So I still think he's probably a little bit of tip of the iceberg guy, but he just keeps getting better and better. And I think he's a guy that could really be athletic and great for this team. So that would probably be my first choice.
Yeah, I think that's everybody's first choice. Him and Sturts together would just be exceptional.
Yeah, that would be cool too. I mean,
yeah, because we talk about the offense, right? But he's not of the Fran guys who would stay. I think he's probably the best two-way guy we had on the team.
Yep, that's fair.
Last year, and then he would be working with a coach who would obviously work on his defense too.
Right.
Then
you wondered though, would he be a short timer though? As well. Maybe he's a 1 year and jump type guy. So
that's fine.
Yeah, I'd take it though.
If we brought Dix back and then both of them went into the NBA draft and both got their names called, I think that would be a strong way to start out.
Yep.
The Ben McCollum era. I think it would lead to a
fair.
lot of wins. Because you look at that Drake team, they won 31 games, but they only had 2 shooters, man.
Right.
I mean, Howard came in and hit some threes sometimes, but there was only 2 consistent and reliable shooters. And if you can somehow bring back Josh Dix and Price Sanford and Cooper Koch, those 3 guys can each shoot. We've seen it. And Dix and Sanford, I would say, are probably more reliable, but Koch can get there.
Yep, I agree.
You put three shooters around Bennett Sturts, I think you're going to have something good and going on offense.
I agree.
There.
Was your answer Josh as well?
Yeah, my answer is Josh, but then I do think it's really kind of an interesting question about who would you prefer, Price or Cooper Koch? I'm kind of in the camp of Cooper Koch just because he has a few more years.
Sure.
I think he can really grow.
Mm-hmm.
6'8", he's 6'8", and we see the potential for a 3-point stroke, but also I just think he's a guy who could really thrive with McCollum.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
For sure.
And become a really good two-way player. Not that I'm saying that Price Sanford can't, but I just think that Cooper Koch has more time to do that.
Sure. Maybe higher ceiling for sure.
Higher ceiling. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. So.
Yep. No, I think it'd be great to have all three of those guys back for sure. I think that'd be a really good start. Sturts in those three, and then, see what else you can pick up in the portal. I think it's sky's the limit type there. So,
I mean, the rumor that's floating out there is that 4 or 5 Drake guys are coming as well. So if I had to name names, Isaiah Howard, Cam Manyow, Cale Combs, Tavion Banks, probably the biggest 4 coming. And I think that's a good start there. And then you talk about the 3 Iowa guys.
Yep.
Even if you get 2 of the 3, I think it's probably more realistic that 2 of those 3 that we mentioned
that's
come
fair.
back. I don't think it's realistic for all 3, although that would be an insane start.
It would. Then you could be really picky and choosy on what you're looking for in the portal, I think.
Yes, but regardless of all that, I still think you need a legitimate big man coming in there. That was one thing that Drake was missing. I loved what Manyow and Banks did, and Abreu. Those 3 guys were awesome, but they just ultimately against like Texas Tech, they just didn't have the size to contend with that kind of a team. But that's not a knock against them. It's just they just all needed to be 2 inches taller and 25 pounds heavier.
And honestly, they were still in that game. I mean, it says something to his coaching ability for sure. So,
that's where I'm at. Is like they were still in that game, and it was impressive. And you get him some high-level Division I athletes who are decent basketball players too. I think it's going to take it to a whole other level. So,
yeah, I agree.
All right. Any parting thoughts on Iowa men's basketball? Fran McCaffrey thoughts or anything of that nature? I don't mean to call you out, but
I'll give you my 2 cents here, I guess. Obviously, I'm a basketball official, high school basketball official. Been doing it for 20 years, and I did ref Jack at Iowa City West 2 games, and had some friends that refed some games of his this year. The Fran that you kind of saw on TV that was kind of a, how do I say it? Hothead with officials is essentially that guy. He would yell at high school officials. We're not getting paid to do this as a career. A lot of the Big Ten type refs might be doing it as a career. They're getting paid maybe $2,000, $2,500 a night to ref college basketball, where us high school officials, if we're making $150 a night, we're doing pretty good. So it just said a lot to me about him when he's screaming at officials in a high school game. And so I lost a lot of interest. I've always kind of not liked who he was as a person from that standpoint. But this year I kind of just got away from it completely. I used to put the games on my calendar and try to watch them if I could. I barely watched this year because of the things that were going on. So, and obviously I don't think I'm the only one, because the seats weren't getting filled, right? They were talking about 5,000 and some actual butts in seats. I mean, that's crazy in major college basketball.
Yeah. we know it's bad when I'm finding other things to do sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I am usually someone who watches Iowa football and basketball, and then no matter what, yeah, I found myself doing other things, and that's how I know. Oh shoot, it's time.
It is for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
you know. But now, you know, I'm on the hype train. I'm ready to get maybe not season tickets, but I'm ready to get to Carver Hawkeye Arena and watch some games. You know,
For sure. For
and I'm
sure.
excited about next season in March, right? And I haven't felt that way in a while.
No, for sure.
I'm
And
missing football
that-
news because I'm more excited about men's basketball news.
right. Right. The presser was yesterday, wasn't it? Was it Kirk yesterday?
Yeah, and I haven't even given it the time of day because I'm just so locked in on men's basketball news.
Yep. I think that's fair. And that's good, I think. And hopefully that provides some momentum for Beth and the administration there to make some changes too, moving the students, you know, doing some different things in Carver. You know, it's obvious, especially when you watch the women's game, you can fill that puppy up pretty quick, I think. So,
Yeah.
So-
How about the job she's done, man? She's awesome. Beth Getz.
yep. I mean, I think you start with an A+, right?
Yeah, I do. All right. Well, I know you got to go. You got to take off. But before you do, and before we call it a night, can I get your parting thoughts on Iowa women's basketball this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, if we thought back to the beginning of the season, where this program has been obviously the highest of highs for the last few years, I think it would not have been a stretch to say we were all probably thinking we were going to be in for a letdown. And, you know, obviously Lucy Olson was a tremendous addition and kind of a good gap filler, you know, for kind of, you know, a lot of the freshmen that came in this year and some of the bigger recruits that are coming, you know, next year even. I think it was a testament to those girls on how they raised their level of play without Caitlin there and really battled all year. Now they had that kind of, you know, 5-game stretch where they really struggled, which, you know, probably dropped them from maybe a 3-4 seed to a 6. But honestly, again, if we'd looked at the beginning of the season and said Iowa's going to be a 6 seed, they're going to play, you know, they're going to beat USC. They're going to probably should have beat UCLA. I think we all would have taken that. So I think it was a tremendous year, honestly. And kudos to, you know, those girls that stepped up this year and really, you know, provided a spark, I think, for that team. And really, I think laid the foundation for what's next under Jan and the recruiting and where that program goes again. So,
yeah, I think Drew and I are right there with you. We kind of said all year the ceiling was Sweet 16 and hosting the first 2 games in Carver. So being the top 4 seed and making the Sweet 16 was, we really felt like the ceiling, and this team just came short of the ceiling that we had pegged for them. And that's not anything to be disappointed in. I think, yeah, we're on a good trajectory.
Yeah, for sure.
For next year and even beyond that. So really happy with the job that Jan Jensen has done.
For sure.
Any other parting thoughts on anything Iowa sports before you want to call it a night?
That's probably it for me. You know, I've kind of been living in this tax bubble, so I'm happy that I was able to help you for 30 some minutes here. But how about you? Anything you want to talk about real quick?
Spring football, I will be paying a little bit of attention now, but not too much. I'll be paying more attention to the spring transfer portal, all that fun stuff. I get a little too deep into the transfer portal stuff sometimes, but I love it. So
I did see just briefly in passing that I think Gronkowski was maybe starting some light throwing stuff. Does that sound right?
Yeah, some light throwing, not with the team yet, but I had a schedule on the rehab. So that is wonderful news for all of us Iowa fans, I think.
Good.
A lot to look forward to. Ben, thanks for coming on again. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, anytime. Appreciate you, Andrew.
All right, awesome. Well, we appreciate all of our fans for listening. Thank you. As always, have a great night. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Talking football, talking hoops, every sport in between. IOWA, yeah, you know what I mean. From a hawk's eye view, see the whole state rise. With a heart so strong and fire in our eyes. On the field, on the court, in the stands, we shine. The best in the game, yeah, the state is mine.